We are gathered here today to witness a day chosen to join together the lives of Nick and Christy. From the first time they met at Landmark Christian School, God was at work in you two.
I knew when I was 17 that this man would be my husband.
Christy sent me an email telling me the story of how they first met.
We know that God is in charge of everything, and no matter what happens, we will always be there for each other.
Nick was new to Landmark, and Christy's teacher was trying to find a way to keep her quiet in class. She kept trying to find someone for her to sit next to that she wouldn't talk to. So she finally decided to sit her next to Nick and let that good talking go to use and get to know the new person.
I don't know, I've never known how just to be his friend. And it's always been very difficult for me. I think that fear of, okay, here we go, we're gonna see each other. It either is or it isn't. And then what does that look like after? Can I just still be his friend if it's not? And if it is, wow, that's a whole nother jar of pickles.
Their friendship grew over the next few years until Nick asked Christy to go to junior prom.
She was in a car wreck just a couple of days beforehand, and
Nice big green bruise from the seatbelt that matched my nice green dress, so
Yeah,
the stick was color coordinated.
Over the summer, Nick's family moved back before their senior year up north. But it was during Christy's senior year that God told her that one day this would be the man that she would marry.
Day after day after day after day, showing me the way.
All these things sort of came together. It's like, okay, we're going to prom, and things sort of started moving that way, and then the job change and the transfer, and we spent our senior years separate, and I kept in touch with him because I didn't really understand where our roads would go, but I knew there was something special there.
Week after week after week after week, I'm nearing what I see.
So when I went to college in Terre Haute at Rose Holman, I was like halfway between Chicago and Atlanta. Not quite, almost. So it was a little easier. Still, I mean, long distance.
It's a long way, especially when you don't have
when
free
you're in
cell phone
school.
minutes, and long distance you still had to pay for back in the dark
Yeah, that little
ages.
dial
And,
card, yeah.
yeah.
Sir, it's a tuxedo. Well, that's not the answer to everything.
We just started talking online, I think.
Yeah.
Just kind of emailing, and we were both in college and instant messaging, and we just decided to give it a shot and
Why not?
see what happened.
Day after day after day after day, showing me the way. Night after night after night.
We dated for 5 years, all through college and a little bit after, until the second little turn came along and we went different ways. And
Trading off the tracks for
a little bit, so.
Flashes and glows.
Not something I used to.
I know, and I've learned the hard way, but the good way, that God's plans don't always go the way we want them to, and the way we would choose them to go. And after 5 years, they stopped dating. Our God is a God of faithfulness, and He is a redeemer. In the same way He has redeemed each one of us, He redeemed this love story.
Won't take a minute
we both really felt like we were headed towards marriage at some point when we were dating in college, and then things just changed, and we needed to understand what happened, and some things that we'd each been through in that time apart, just sort of work through it. We worked really hard.
Today will be the outward symbol of the marvelous work that God has already done in the lives of Nick and Christy. God prepared this day of his own making well in advance. Therefore, let us rejoice in the goodness of God and in his faithfulness and great love for us, his children.
So after the couple of years where, we didn't have any contact at all. 6 years?
6 years.
No
nothing.
contact at all. And then, you know what? What's this Facebook thing about? I don't know what this is. Let's have an account. I'm a very private person. And then one day, you got a message on yours, popped up, right, and said...
Facebook suggested we be friends. I just sent him a message and said, hey, funny story. Facebook thinks we should be friends, and me too. What do you think? He just stopped the car and took my hand and prayed for me. That was it. From the time he took my hand, it was done. And talked about it and said, only if you mean it.
Right.
Only if you mean it.
Several hours chatting about it.
Yeah.
Well, today, this story starts a whole new chapter of the story. And it's where you two become one. Because love has brought you together. And love will never fail you.
With this ring,
I give you myself,
to be faithful to you
and to share my love
and life with you.
always.
Christy, you are my best friend and will be forever. I promise to cherish and respect you, to laugh with you, loving you faithfully through good times and bad, to comfort you in times of sorrow and struggle, through sickness and health. I vow to be true and faithful for as long as we both shall live.
Because we have such a long story, over 17, 18, 20 years now, I tried to kind of give her a story to tell. The Pandora bracelets, you can kind of do that with. You can pick the charms and kind of build it together. So, okay. So when we picked out a whole bunch of charms that had a piece of all the different stories, and so we started at the Botanic Gardens, and went out on the frozen lake. It's just frozen solid. There's Music Tower out there, so I gave her her first bracelet with a music charm, because we met all the way back in high school in music class. Took a long drive into the city. That was kind of that pause we took in our relationships. We started, stopped. So I gave her a little clock. We were representing time. And we kept building the bracelet as we went through the day.
The whole day had been just so overwhelming to me. I walked into the room and I just was so overwhelmed. Roses everywhere.
Roses everywhere. Everywhere. Just, 700 square foot suite, just roses everywhere. The room overlooked the city where you could see the fireworks off over the lake. Was the idea.
All these little princess touches and glass slippers and pearls, and then on the center of the coffee table there was a Bible laid open, and there's another one of those boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I had some food, party with some people, and be like, I'm out of here. Last Jared's box there. That was a pillow with a ring bearer's pillow for her Pandora bracelet. So as soon as she picked that up and opened it, she was looking out the window.
So I opened it and looked, and I'm just looking over here, and I went to talk to him about it, and I turned around and he was on his knee.
I had the actual ring in the box. So.
It was just so overwhelming at that moment to think, wow, this is really happening.
Just in the nick of time, all that happened. And we had like a minute and a half till the fireworks started. And the last charm was an actual lock. It's a firework.
This is what I've waited for so long, and he honored me so well in the way that he crafted the day and built it around our story. It was more than I could have imagined for someone to create a day like that for me. I would love to share with you a song that I've written for my husband. First time I said that publicly. So if you guys would just indulge me for a minute, I'd really love to share this song with you and with Nick.
She just loves so well, and she's so much grace and mercy for people, and she's always been firmly planted in God and has a love like I've never experienced on this earth before.
We both have chosen to make the Lord our first priority and make that the first priority in our relationship. When we start to look at ourselves or start to want for ourselves, like what happened before, is when things start coming off the track. And if we can keep our eyes on loving others well because we've been loved so well, I think that's the common thread for us.
I mean, yeah, there was a downtime when, we had gone our separate ways and, life happened. But being able to discuss through all those things and work through it, there's not a topic on this earth we can't talk about. And I feel like if we always have communication, we're always going to come back to the same place, which should be nothing but strength in the future.